You know what? We all want love, but most of us don't want to date to get it because let's be honest, dating sucks. But I fully believe it doesn't have to if we actually know what we're doing. Hi, I'm Kira Sabin, and this is Reinventing Dating, a smart and sweary podcast for all singles to learn the mindsets and skills to date with intention and confidence. Join me weekly as I break down the science and psychology behind what's working in our dating culture and what isn't. Every week, I'll bring a new topic, a trend, a skill, or mindset that can help us get out of our own way to learn how to date for relationships that we actually want. Because I fully believe and know that love isn't broken, but dating is. So let's reinvent it together.
Well, hello there, Sugar Pantses. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Reinventing Dating. I'm Kira. How are you guys doing? If you guys haven't checked out Romcom Rescue yet, we're doing some really fun things over there. This week we did 13 going on 30 for our movie breakdown. We just did Bridgerton. And before that, we did The Idea of You, which was on Amazon Prime. And if you haven't watched it, totally a fun watch. Check it out, romcomrescue.com. We've got another Bridgerton week happening when it comes out. There's going to be a giveaway, all of this cool stuff. Come check it out. Now, as far as today goes, I thought I'd keep it short and sweet. It's the weekend. I've been working a lot, but I do like to come over here and do a podcast as a commitment to myself and to you guys. And today is going to be something I don't think we talk about enough, which is green flags. Not red flags, not yellow flags, not walk the fuck away flags, green flags. What we should actually be looking for, what we should be noticing, things that can tell us a person is a little more emotionally mature, a little bit more ready for a relationship. And I think sometimes we get really, really stuck in the negative of dating. That's, by the way, negativity bias. That is proven that our brain naturally goes to the negative. In case you guys didn't know, that's a little bit of my positive psychology background. But if we're only focusing on the negative, we don't see the positive. We don't see the connection. We don't get to feel and enjoy our time with people. So that's what today is. We're going to talk about green flags, the universal ones. No matter however you identify or whoever you are trying to date, these are going to point to people who are ready to start a relationship with you, if that is what you're looking for. I don't assume that's what everybody's looking for, but really this is about for those people who are looking for something a little more intentional, a little bit deeper, stronger, longer term. These green flags are lifesavers. Let's get into it. The first green flag that you should be looking for is very simple, and it is people who are dating with intention. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to break that down for you here because I realize that's just a saying. Dating with intention. Intentional dating is going out and dating with a way better understanding of who, how, and why you want to date. It involves reflecting on your own needs. It's about being mindful about the choices you make. Instead of just raw dogging it out there like everybody fucking is, and just hoping it works out, or hoping that they'll notice the match, or hope that they can just follow the feelings or connection. Way too many people are like, I want to be in a long-term relationship, potentially married, and maybe have children. And then they are out there just slip sliding away, dating with not a lot of intention, not a lot of thought to what's important to them, not a lot of thoughts of this is what I have to feel good on a daily basis in my relationship and for what I am hoping to create. So you want somebody who's coming to you with intention. They have a general idea what they're looking for. They know what's important to them. They can tell you what gets them up out of bed in the morning, what they're passionate about, what they're excited about. This is dating with intention, and honestly should really be the bar, should really be the minimum. We should all not be out there over the age, particularly of 30, not dating with intention, not having some general ideas of what's important to us, what we need, what we do not want, and be able to communicate that to another person. So I say this everywhere and I'll say it here again. If you go on a date with somebody and you ask, so what kind of relationship are you looking for? Which is a totally fair question to ask, by the way, because why are you going to go on 4 or 5 dates with somebody who's just not looking for the same thing as you? Make that make sense, crazy pantses. Make it make sense, because that doesn't make sense. But we do it all the time, because if we think that we speak our needs, that men particularly will run away. They won't want to be with us. But the men who will run away when you ask the very basic question of what kind of relationship are you looking for? Because there's nothing really personal or anything about that, because you're on a date. If they can't answer that question, that's a red flag. That's a no. That's a moving along. That's the least they should know, and it should match up. The next green flag is empathy and compassion towards others in the world. And on some level, a kind person. Not a nice person, but a kind person. They're the ones that overtip. They're the ones who are truly kind to the waiters or the baristas or wherever they are. They are not scoffing at homeless people and telling them to figure it out. They have empathy and compassion towards others in the world because, by the way, this is one of the foundations for love. And if you think that somebody who hates everybody but still loves you, that relationship is not going to be very healthy. Some of my favorite things about Danny. Oh shit, I'm going to start crying. I'm going to tell you guys a little Kira story here. As I talk about regularly on here and on Romcom Rescue, I grew up in small town Wisconsin. About 5,000 people, southwest Wisconsin, actually a very beautiful part of the country. And my mom grew up in even smaller town Wisconsin. She grew up in a town of about 600. And one of the stories I would hear growing up was my grandmother, who lived in the same house that she raised my mom in. But my grandfather traveled a lot. He was a traveling salesman for part of his life. And during the 30s and the 40s, when there was so much poverty from the Depression, they lived right across from the train, and they were a major stop, even though they were in small town Wisconsin. So people who would ride the rails would get off the train kind of looking for food, looking for things. And my grandmother's house was right across from the train tracks. And it was a little bit of a family, I don't know, joke. By the way, you can see I'm not laughing. That my grandmother would never open the door to the homeless, to the needy, because she was scared. Because my grandfather was traveling a lot and she was super sheltered, and my mother was also very sheltered. And my mom would kind of tease that my grandmother was a good Christian, but who never opened the door to the needy when they would stop by, which was regularly. And I'll be honest, that story, although I can truly not understand my grandmother and where she was at the time as being a woman who was alone with a child, but I've always been really sad that I come from the sheltered people, that I come from the people who are scared of the world. And I have spent a lot of my adult life trying to break that box around me, that cage around me, whatever word, bubble, I don't know, whatever word we want to use and becoming kind of the person that I want to represent, that I want to be. So a couple of weeks ago, we ordered in some chicken from our favorite Peruvian place. And we realized from the moment that we ordered it from DoorDash, when it started coming this way, in that amount of time, we got major tornado warnings. So much that in Wisconsin here, you have to go to a basement. We went to the basement of our apartment complex. We took our animals, like a lot of the people were down there. And this DoorDash was still coming where they were in the city. It wasn't bad. So I'm texting, "Hi, I don't know if you're seeing the weather. Please don't come if it's unsafe." And they don't see the messages and they show up. And the weather is fucking scary. Scary out. Danny goes out to meet them. He's like, "I'm going to go grab it. Then we'll go back downstairs." And 2 seconds later, he comes back with the chicken and with a small family of a really young guy, his wife, and their baby. I'm a little caught off guard, and Danny says to me, "Hey, these are our Door Dashers, and they're out in this weather, and they have their kid." And so I told him to come inside and that they could sit and wait it out for a little while. And for about a half a second, I was a little bit like, "Fuck, what's happening?" And then that half a second washed away as I looked at this small family. I looked at, they had maybe a 1-year-old who was scared and crying. And I looked at Danny and I was so proud to be with a man who is like this, that would welcome complete strangers who were delivering our chicken into our house for safety. And they are instantly like, "Thank you so much." I'm like, you know what? This is human. You don't even need to thank me, because as humans, this is what we should be doing. I appreciate the thanks, but honestly, we're just letting you come into our house and dry off for a few minutes. That is really, in the scheme of life, not a big deal. So please stay safe, stay as long as you need to. Danny got up, got them some water. We watched the weather to see if we need to go back downstairs. But to me, this is breaking generational trauma. Now, I'm not having kids. This bloodline stops with me for many reasons. But I love the fact that this is the person I am now. That I have changed what was done for generations before me. That I'm learning how to become the person that is welcoming and open and truly kind, instead of guarded and angry and mildly bitter, which I'm really worried about Gen X. I'm seeing us in midlife crisis, and we're rough. We're rough. We don't know how to deal. But when people are like, "I'm not sure what I'm looking for," and that's why they're riding their attraction and sparks and everything else, look for this. I have never been more in love, more attracted to, more anything than when I see the deep fucking kindness of my husband. He's the guy that when we go to the restaurant, piles the dishes, right? So that they're not nice and clean and easy, that the waitstaff can take them away. Danny is a person who's making people's lives around him better. And I encourage you to date and marry people like that. They have empathy and compassion towards others in the world. Next green flag that we want to spot: somebody who's open and honest. They're not hiding shit. They maybe have boundaries, right? They might be like, "I'm not open to talking that yet, but as we get to know each other, I will." But if you ask if they're dating others, they tell you honestly, because we shouldn't be ashamed of that. This is a dating culture. Now, maybe you're not okay with that, but if you're dating online or you're kind of dating in this dating culture, you have to make the assumption that people are dating other people until people get monogamous. That's just a reality. They're not hiding their past. They're not hiding their phone. They're not anything. They're open. They're honest. They seem to have integrity, which is the next one. They have integrity. They follow up when they say they're going to follow up. They call when they say they're going to call. If you're meeting for a coffee at 2 p.m., they're there at 2 p.m. Now, I understand little things happen, like an accident that nobody planned on. But they're there. They apologize. They're kind. You're not wondering what they're thinking. There's not mixed messages. They are there with integrity. You see that their actions match their words. I think that maybe that is one of the biggest things that we don't notice. Part of the reason that I tell people to go on action dates, right? So I say after that first date, which would be about an hour, I encourage people to go on action or activity dates. Here's why. A, it's fucking more fun than sitting there and just talking about yourselves. But B, because you're going to learn more watching and observing that person doing something. You're going to learn more about them doing that than listening to them just tell you about themselves. And I think this is also why sometimes we're really shocked. Because maybe we're dating somebody in like kind of a bubble for 3 or 4 months and they keep telling you who they are and you're like, wow, wow, wow. And then you are blown the fuck away when you actually get to be a part of their lives and go, oh, wait, that's not who they are at all. That shit happens a lot. Next green flag. They set boundaries. Yes, even with you. The best relationships have boundaries. Danny and I still set boundaries with each other on a daily basis. Here's what feels comfortable for me right now. Here's what I have time or energy for. This is what I don't. Being able to set boundaries with someone and have them follow it, and vice versa, is just setting up a stunning path in your relationship. Because boundaries move relationships forward. Walls, which a lot of people confuse with boundaries, stop relationships. If they set a boundary of, I really feel most comfortable just texting a couple times a day. Now, you don't have to be okay with that boundary. That may not be okay with you. But we should be okay with people setting boundaries, showing us what they need, teaching us how to treat them. Next green flag. They can tell you what they are looking for and are happy to share it with you. They're not playing games from day one. They're not kind of pushing and then pulling and then pushing and then pulling. They share what they're looking for. They know they've put some time and thought into it, and they have no problem sharing it with you. Done. Next green flag. They check in on you and your emotions. Now, this isn't going to happen when you've been on 2 dates. But as you're building this, as you decide to become monogamous, as you decide to create a relationship, they actually make sure that things feel good for you too. Danny and I are constantly checking in on this relationship. Still to this day, we're almost 10 years in. And we regularly will take a day or an afternoon and talk about our lives and talk about our relationship and talk about what's working and what's not. How we can support each other better, how we can do this better. Because this relationship is probably the most important thing to both of us, period. So why wouldn't we want to do that? Why wouldn't we want to tend and take care to the most important relationship in our life? That was not something that he automatically knew how to do. Every day, boy, Danny, he's a unicorn. Not really. He is a good guy. But what we do in this relationship, we have taught each other. He did not come into this relationship like this. Nor did I, for that matter. but they check in with you. Does that feel okay to you? Is this feeling good? Is there something that I can be doing better? Start those conversations yourself. Anytime that I had a tough conversation or if I set a boundary with Danny, I made sure that at the end of it, I said, and if there's a way that I can be better for you, let me know. And that was kind of awkward for a little while because Danny told me nobody's ever asked me that. Nobody's ever really asked me what I need. And my heart broke a little bit because I know he's right. I know that that's the way we treat men in our society. I know that for as much as we are shouting from the rooftops that we want them to change, there's a big majority of us that are still wanting them to step up and balls up and be a man and be masculine. I have to keep my eyes on my own paper because you travel too far on Instagram or TikTok and it's scary out there. I can guarantee you this. For all the shit I know after 16 years, those of us who are still stuck deeply in gender roles, please look back at history and understand that when we had those gender roles, there wasn't much love. There was dependency. You had to be dependent as a woman because you did not make any money of your own. You could not own things. And men have been taught to be adored. Not loved, but to be adored. It's crazy to me how we don't notice that as women, so many of us are still waiting to be rescued. And that's because we have been treated as children for the majority and centuries of our lives. We want men to rescue us because it is a leftover feeling of an earlier time that was not very happy. Somebody just told me the other day that they were talking to their grandmother about her relationship and just how much choice she felt she had. And the answer was, I just didn't know better. None of us did. And she looked at her granddaughter and said, but you can do better. I was very close to one of my grandmothers. I was not that close to the other one. But I still know that they were strong-ass women because they had to be. If somebody cannot express their emotions, if somebody can't tell you what they're feeling, if somebody shuts down and doesn't even have access to their emotions or feelings, that's not a green flag. Because being able to notice your emotions and feel them so you don't vomit them all over everybody else in your life is a basic for relationships. Okay, and our final green flag is that they understand that relationships and intimacy take time. Man, I can't believe that we are still riding this weird idea that if it's real love, it comes fast. If it's real love, you'll know right away. If it's real love, you both lock it down. None of that is true. All of that's bullshit. Real love that lasts, relationships that create real love that lasts, take time. And if you meet somebody who's either trying to rush you into something or thinking that by date 4, they should know if you're the one, that's a red flag, because the green flag is they understand you're not going to know for a while. You understand that you will not know if this person is going to be your long-term partner because you have to actually spend time together. You have to do things together. You have to live life a little bit together. I know no one wants to hear this, but the recommended time to truly date somebody, to really see them through their ups and downs, is 3 years. It takes about 3 years for you to see them kind of move through their lives so you truly know what to expect. Because everybody is awesome when we're in the obsessive love phase and our life is good? What happens if they lose their job? What happens if a family member gets sick? Who are they then? Are they asking for support? Do they let you in? Or do they shut down and push you out? I hear stories all day, every day. And the things that I'm describing are very normal. People who dated for a year and a half, and then one person has something shitty happen in their life and they can't deal. And they leave the relationship that that other person thought was forever. When we know that we're not just choosing love, but that we are choosing another person who is flawed, who has wounds that are probably unhealed, who has tough days too, and is also just trying to figure out how to move through this life in a way that doesn't suck. That is a green flag. Relationships and true vulnerability and intimacy, trust, take time. And anybody who's trying to force it, anybody who's trying to let go after a few weeks or months and they don't know, they're telling you that they're not ready for a relationship. And man, like 75% of our problems go away when both people are ready for the relationship, when both people understand there is work and that you will have to have tough conversations and tell each other scary things. When we learn that and we put all of these green flags together, we have a foundation to build something beautiful. We have the foundation to build a relationship that works. And when a relationship works, that's when you can feel loved all day, every day for who you actually are. Not a version that you're trying to be, not some perfect version that you're never going to get to because perfection doesn't even exist. A foundation for a real relationship that creates love. That's what we're doing. That's, if you didn't pick that up, that's what I'm doing here on this podcast. All right. Those are your green flags, my friends. Now, if you're not sure about red flags and yellow flags, I am talking about those every month in the Date Like You Mean It group workshop. It is about 4 to 5 hours. I run it once a month on a Saturday. It's $99. It is for women. It is for men. It is for however you identify. And it is just good, solid dating information, timelines, scripts, and mindsets to build relationships that actually fucking work. Because why even do it if not? You can find all of that at date.reinventingdating.com. Check it out. You can sign up for this month. You can sign up for next month. I'm going to keep running it because I am out here to change the world. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope that was helpful. I feel like it is because I feel like it took me a really fucking long time to learn these things. And if I were able to have learned them younger, I might have done better. If you liked this, please subscribe so you don't miss any of the future episodes with this kind of dating genius. And also share it with everybody you know. Regularly, we are meeting people who are getting a divorce or just have become single. Let them know you like this podcast. It's helpful and it gets it out there. Finally, if you love it, please leave a review, whether it's just some stars on Apple or Spotify, or writing down what you really love about this podcast. I read every single one. They fucking make my day. You become a hero in my mind for a day or two, and it just makes the world a little bit better place. All right, guys, I'll be here next week. And until then, meet love halfway.